Today on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we are late, and it's week 2 waivers. Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I am your host, Ron Seymour, joined today by Joseph McGann and Ryan Warner. How are we doing, boys?
Still recovering from week 1, but we'll get on there. And I just wrote in the comment section, say shit to us. So anyone, come and comment.
Yeah. Yeah, say shit to us. I like it.
I'm still riding pretty high off of my stomping of Ron in fantasy this past week. So.
Stomping, stop it.
What do we got going on tonight, Ron?
I wouldn't call it a stopping. We are going to go through the news, and we will cover, like I said, waiver pickups for this upcoming week, and we'll discuss them and see who we think is the best, maybe how much fab you should spend, and
how we can screw each other on this because we're in the same league.
Yeah. Well, we all know that our league is not fab system because someone, had to put a kibosh to all that.
That freedom ring. Democracy wins.
All right, let's jump right into the news.
News updates.
Can I just say I really enjoy Casey passing back and forth in the back of Ryan's screen like a dog?
I know, right?
Like a dog ready to be unleashed on the MMA world.
Yeah.
Maybe new episodes coming soon someday. Anyway, into our news for the day. What the hell is going on with the Bucs? Ronald Jones is expected to start against the Falcons, according to a report. Does that mean anything to us?
I got burned by Ronald Jones this past week with his negative 0.20 points he got me.
So shitty.
It's a fool me once, shame on you thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not letting that get to 2. I probably won't drop him because I know if I drop him, someone will pick him up and then he'll have a monster game against me.
Probably.
So he'll probably just sit on my bench and be a wasted space for me all year long.
Yeah, absolutely. But you need those spots too. Those guys you're way too high on. Do you have any other cut candidates while we're talking about it? Just so I know who to pick off your bench.
Yeah. I had a lot of cut candidates, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer, I think. Russell Gage. I will say that.
We know that.
I was really high on Russell Gage. I thought his opportunity in this offense could be really good. He had 2 targets this week, and they were playing down most of the time. That offense does not look great right now. I think Russell Gage could be someone you caught for a different waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Ryan.
What about I think these guys were picked up quite a bit as far as running backs go. Where are you guys at with like Michael Carter and Matisse? I didn't see much of them at all this week.
Well, I was not in on McKissick at all. I know Joe was banging that drum, seemed like every mock draft. And I know when we were doing the Megala Bowl draft, he was all like, we should draft McKissick. And I 100% said no to that at every single given time.
So, yeah, I did think about that, but he did absolutely nothing in week 1. He would be an immediate wire pickoff should the starter in Washington get hurt, but as of right now, he belongs on the waiver wire. He's not doing anything there, and it's a one-back system there in Washington, so leave it alone for now.
What about Michael Carter?
You could take a wait-and-see approach with him, especially with how much you have invested in him. At least wait another week before you cut him, because I did the same thing with Cam Akers last year, where I cut him after week 2. He sat on the waiver wire, and then he had a good second half of the year. So just, be a little bit patient with these younger players. Let them get acclimated to the offense. It was the first week of the NFL season. Michael Carter is the kind of player you might want to wait another week on. I'm not confident he's going to produce yet, though.
Not to mention with Michael Carter, rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, brand new offensive system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would give it a few weeks, see if this offense can start gelling together, pick it up, and then see what the running back situation looks like. Who has the bulk of the carries, goal line carries, third down work, all that noise. Yeah, I'm saying stash Michael Carter for now.
Then my last one, I'm going to say someone that I would cut would be Mecole Hardman. I think the three players on the Chiefs that are worth having would be Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, and that's it. Over 66% of Mahomes' passes went to two players.
Historically, the Chiefs wide receivers, especially from the two position, have not done shit. Sammy Watkins didn't do shit there, which is kind of strange considering he actually did something with the Ravens last night. But he is a week one warrior and has been historically, so expect him to do nothing the rest of the year. But yeah, actually, we need to cover that game a little bit too, and we will after the news too. That was one hell of a game. But yeah, Mecole Hardman, I think, is a good cut candidate.
Pretty heavily rostered too at 60%.
Yeah, it's on the Chiefs' offense. Everyone wants a piece of that, and
and they'll reach to get it.
Well, unfortunately, the three wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce. So it just isn't going to happen.
Well, this week it was Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But, pick your favorite flavor of the week, and that's what it'll be.
Yeah.
All right, so in our next little bit of news, there is a report out from the Seahawks camp that Rashad Penny will miss week 2 against the Titans, meaning Carson's going to get his normal workload too, so you don't have to adjust for anything, and DJ Dallas is expected to be the backup. Carson looked very good during that game.
The whole offense really looked very well. They brought in that new offensive coordinator that was pretty much handpicked by Russell Wilson, or at least he had a very big role in who they brought in, which is something he wanted. That's part of the reason the whole trade things came through, is he wanted to be more involved. Everybody wants to do what Tom Brady is doing. They want to be the coach on the field. I mean, but they also have to remember Tom Brady has kind of earned that because he has 7 Super Bowl rings.
Hey, Ryan, is that your petition to be mayor of the town, you flood maniac?
Yes, it is.
Nice to know.
If we're done with that news, the only other news that I can recall that came through is Jerry Jeudy out 5 to 6 weeks. I think that definitely boosts the stock of Patrick, who we'll probably get to later.
KJ Hamler.
And KJ Hamler and possibly Cortland Sutton. He didn't do much this week, but I did like the idea of drafting him as a late rounder during the drafts, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do think that really does help the outlook of the other guys on this offense too. And unfortunately, Jerry Jeudy's not going to be back for, what would you say, 5 to 8 weeks? That's going to stick him at the very end of your fantasy season too, unfortunately. So if he's going to be effective for you, it'll be towards the later half of the season. Stash him in the IR and maybe hope for something towards the playoffs, but honestly, his season's equivalently done.
It's a high ankle sprain. It looked nasty. I was watching that game, obviously being a Giants fan, and amidst the tears, I could see his leg. It didn't look great. I thought it was broken. You don't come back from a high ankle sprain after 5 to 8 weeks. You come back, but you're not back.
They might get him back for a decent playoff run should they make it, but that's if they make the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. If they aren't competing, even if he comes back, though, he's not going to be the same. He won't be as explosive this year. This is the same thing Michael Thomas had last year. The high ankle sprain. It kept him out.
Oh, okay.
He came in and out. And when he came back, he wasn't all that effective. And it's just one of those things where, I don't know. I wouldn't trust him.
It's so unfortunate, too, because he looked like a beast on that offense, too.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, he looked good.
Like, if you have an IR spot him.
Yeah.
If you don't have an IR, drop him.
Cut.
Yep. Yeah, it's not worth your time. I do have actually a bit of more news. Ryan says that's all there was today, but
I said all that I could remember.
Yeah, well, Raheem Mostert went from 8 weeks to completely out for the season. So, in typical Raheem Mostert fashion, he is now completely out. So that makes the waiver wire even more interesting coming into this week. Although there is another running back too that should come back for them midway through the season. Wilson, I believe, is his name.
Jeff Wilson. My name is
Jeff Wilson. I miss Jeff too. We might see him later in the season too, and obviously they have a rookie behind there too that's going to be looking to get snaps. So I don't know exactly how I feel about him on the waiver wire, but that might be me just miraging to hopefully you guys will bid him down. Not going to happen, but I don't know about I feel about spending all my fab money in our league, especially on him. I might put in a decent pickup for our league right there for it, but we'll see.
On Mitchell?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm willing to do what it would require to get him. I don't think I'm willing to go that high.
So in one of my other leagues, and the thing has already went through, we don't use the system for our fab, so I didn't put in a claim on them, so everyone was giving me their bets.
Yeah.
$80 out of their $100 fab
shit
went to Elijah Mitchell. And
that is a lot to burn this early.
The other ones were like 60, 35, 52. Like they were all super high.
So what you're saying is in our Megalopool, we are probably not coming away with them.
Depends on probably not, depending on how much you put on them.
Yeah, it'll not be 100. I promise you that.
No.
Or maybe I'm just screwing with the guys that
See,
might
and
tune
here's
in and
my
start
thing.
watching this at some point. We'll see.
Well, I'll wait till we get to the waiver part to say what I say about Mitchell.
Okay. All right, so let me get to my last two little bits of news, and then we'll get into that Ravens-Raiders game and then get to the waivers. 5 Saints coaches have tested positive for COVID, so we might have an outbreak there potentially. Keep an eye on that. Nothing to worry about yet. It was just the coaches. They were separated. The Saints claim they have it under control, but we've heard that before, a la Titans, and it was not under control, so be slightly vigilant with that.
I thought it was one player, too. I thought I saw it was like 5 coaches and then a player.
I did not see the player.
They didn't say what player or anything.
Yeah, but be hyper vigilant on that. And also, Vic Fangio claims that KJ Hamler is going to be the starter with the Broncos, but he also did mention Tim Patrick. So, like I said, both of them will be fantasy relevant, and we will get into this when we get to the waiver part of the show. But, boys, there was a game last night, wasn't there?
Oh, was there ever?
Yep.
Would you like to let the Heckling Fandom know what the hell happened last night?
It was the perfect end to week 1. Really, it was. Both teams essentially played like garbage, really. I mean, both defenses looked okay, but the offenses were lackluster. Both those teams need wide receivers desperately.
Well, all the Ravens are hurt, so that's kind of what happened with them. And with the Raiders, their first and second wide receiver is Darren Waller.
But they had Marquise Brown. And
he had a decent game.
It wasn't bad, but he didn't change the game.
No, he definitely did not do that.
And just the ending of that game, though, was just fantastic.
You mean the interception, overtime, fumble, and then touchdown?
Well, no, not even before that. Where
the touchdown, the celebration, the callback.
They thought the game was over. Everybody's rushing the field. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And even the announcers was like, "This is coming back. He's got to get these people off the field." Like everybody was doing their good game handshakes and everything. And how horrible for the Ravens does that have to be when you have to do the good job at beating us handshakes twice?
It's just a bad time when that ends up happening.
To lose twice in one night, that's a rough go.
That's horrible.
Rough go.
It ends up coming back. Oh man, but I will say, Waller had himself a game. The Ravens have a good backfield there. I think they actually have a running back with that rookie there.
Tyson Williams. Yeah, not bad.
Tyson is going to get at least a split workload there, too, and I'm very comfortable with the other guy in their committee, too.
Latavius Murray.
Yes, sir.
Latavius Murray is a good running back. Don't forget, he's a good running back. And I feel like they're going to use him a lot around the goal line. He's bigger, stronger than Tyson Williams, which could hurt Tyson Williams' overall fantasy production. But this is the Ravens offense. It's the Ravens offense without a lot of pass catchers, and they love to run the ball. So he'll still be fine.
Yeah. Did you hear on Fantasy Footballers podcast that one of the hosts ended up losing $40,000 over it? He had like this.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just the different
12-part parlay hit everything except for the touchdown. And
yeah, he needed a Mark Andrews touchdown. That's all he needed. And he would have won $40,000.
Yeah, I would cry myself to sleep that night.
I'd be so sad at life in general. And it was a free bet.
Ryan, that would pay for 4 basements.
Yeah, and I'm going to need all the basements I can get. So at the rate this is going.
I need a basement inside a basement.
Still working on the, just doing an indoor pool.
Yeah. Oh, well, $40,000 will help you get that too.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, and before we get into the waivers, we got one more thing for you. Well, these two bastards weren't on the show yesterday, and we're definitely going to address this because Ron was talking a lot of shit to Ryan, and now he's sitting down in his chair thinking that this wouldn't happen. But JJ would have killed me if I wouldn't have talked about it. So, Ryan, what happened this past weekend when you were playing Ron Fantasy Football?
I mean, I destroyed him. In every
using that word
in every category plausible, 189 points to 138.
Does it hurt the soul, Ron?
Look, I had there were some players on my team that just did not decide to perform.
That's correct, but this is Garbage Time Fantasy Football, and our listeners need to listen from your mistakes. So,
I mean, what happened with Saquon? I didn't watch that game. Did he get a full workload or not even?
No,
full?
He only had 10 carries and like 3 targets.
Yeah, wow.
I kind of was expecting him to not have a very good day. Broncos defense is pretty good, and with him coming back, I kind of thought they were going to ease him in. What really killed me simply was Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley. A total of 18 points. Let's put it this way. I could have started Justin Fields. And had almost the same fantasy production as...
I mean, Jalen Waddle on your bench went for 16.
I know.
In his first game.
I know. Yeah, I know.
The rest of the bench was bad,
I could see the bench.
The rest of it was bad.
Yeah.
The most sad part was by 4 o'clock, you thought you still had hope, which didn't ever come around either.
Well, because I still had Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
that didn't come to fruition either.
That quite literally could have changed the whole scope of the game.
Do you know what they say, though? Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. Ron, it took him a while to work through it.
Look, we're on to week 2.
We're on to Cincinnati.
I've made some waiver claims. Obviously, I'm going to have a slightly higher pick because of the loss this week.
Me too. I lost you. Thanks, TJ.
So we will see where things go.
I think Ron's got a slightly higher waiver pick though because he also scored lower than me.
Oh my God, I scored so low. What was I like? I was one of the bottom scorers.
Yeah, maybe you'll be getting the toilet trophy this year.
Ron
your team is so sick with McCaffrey and Saquon.
Ron was the second lowest scorer by
waiver point 2
by 1 point.
Yep, and I'm going to be the Ryan Warner of this year, scoring high every single week and losing all my games. I can't wait.
It's not a good spot to be in.
It doesn't feel good.
It's not a great feeling, Joe. I promise.
We have to fix that this week.
I probably could have taken some of my points from my dynasty team, put them on our auction league, then beat Ryan and still won my dynasty league too.
We're so happy for you that you're doing well in the dynasty league out of your 7 leagues.
Ron has
you had to know this was coming, Ron. Sorry. You missed yesterday. There was no chance we weren't going to get this over.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
And I kind of already gave myself the black eye talking about Tommy beating me yesterday, which was horrible. But, anyway.
It's honestly the Bears' fault, the fact that they can't cover Cooper Kupp.
Yep. All right. With that, on to Cincinnati and on to waiver wire claims. Boys, we have some teams to improve, and by that I mean mine and Ron's. Ron, is there any specific names you were looking at on the waiver wire?
Well, I have a higher priority than both you fools, so I can probably just tell you.
Well, yeah, but maybe I'll get them on my second, third, and fourth choice because my bench is horrible.
My bench is also horrible. I know I'm looking at a quarterback in our auction league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who would that be?
Oh, I'm going to go with Jameis Winston because he plays.
You took mine.
He plays. He had a really good week 2 matchup, and I can't think of. Was it the Falcons? Maybe.
I believe he is playing the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken.
So I think he plays the Falcons. And
Ryan, get the answer. You don't need waiver wire claims.
They play the Panthers.
That is still
Panthers.
a good secondary to play against.
Still a decent matchup. I'm also, my second one is for like the second time around. I'm gonna take a flyer on Sterling Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't one that I'm super excited about, but
why? Because there's a little bit of a history with Sterling Shepard and the Giants.
Well, just he could still see the targets. He had a decent fantasy week, this past week, something like 6 for 80 and a touchdown, I believe it was. But just trying to find something somewhere, I guess.
I really think there is a lot of treasure on the waiver wire, though, too. What are your guys' thoughts on Tim Patrick, though? We already addressed him a little bit with Denver, too. I think he's a very good waiver wire pickup for the week.
Yeah, I definitely looked at him also when I was looking at waiver wire. I thought I needed to address the quarterback position first.
Mm-hmm. Obviously.
So
with Matt Ryan.
Yeah, well, I'll be all right as soon as Justin Fields take over because I think he'll at least provide me a safe baseline where he won't tank me and get me 8 points.
Yeah, or like Saquon getting you that on 10 carries probably.
Yeah, he got me 3.
Brutal.
But I mean, I have Christian McCaffrey too, so it kind of made up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know one player I was kind of looking at, especially if you're in a really deep league and you might need some running back depth or you're just really hurting. Mark Ingram, kind of, not Mark Ingram. Yes, Mark Ingram.
That's the right Ingram.
He got the bulk of the work this week. I know that backfield makes everyone nervous, rightfully so, but he performed pretty well. And if they do kind of lean towards him a little bit more, he could be fantasy relevant. If you find yourself in a tough spot, he might be someone that you could put in there.
So he's interesting from the prospect that he got the majority of the carries there too, but he played against the Jacksonville Jaguars and holy shit did they look bad. That was just a bad opportunity going around with them. So could Mark Ingram be a decent pickup for you? I would say potentially, but I mean, I would keep him on the bench for another week before actually playing him out there, or at least put him
on starting him.
Yeah, or if you're going to play him playing in the running back spot as opposed to the flex, so you have more options if you're actually that desperate and need to play Mark Ingram yet. I might look at other waiver options, though, before I end up doing that.
I will go nowhere near Mark Ingram.
I knew Ron was going to say that. I knew it.
Well, my thing is he had 26 carries.
Mm-hmm.
But they were blowing out the Jaguars. They are not going to be in that game script ever again this season. Never.
Yeah, no, that'll just be a bad time, I think.
he might get maybe 13, 14 carries. And at that, which he had a 3.2 yards per carry, which isn't like phenomenal. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not phenomenal. But if he's only getting 13 carries at like 3.2 yards, that's 41 yards on the game.
Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about another quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, who is also probably on the waivers for a lot of teams? Maybe not in our league, but in other ones.
I know he had a good game, but I don't know his final numbers. Like
Ryan, you probably know his numbers considering we watched his game.
I can find it. Give me 1 second.
So he was projected for, or is this week 2? This is week 2.
17 points. He had 202 yards with 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
It's still not great for fantasy, but he was playing the Patriots defense.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this week he plays the Buffalo defense.
Yep.
But week 3, he's got Raiders. So he could be a really good streamer for week 3. So if you wanted to go and get him now in preparation, so you don't wait until next week's waivers, if you can get him really cheap, like after all the waivers are run, and pick him up so people aren't getting him next week for that streaming against the Raiders, then that's not a bad play.
Who would you rather play between this given week, between him, Mac Jones, or Tyrod Taylor? Potentially all 3 options on the waiver wire.
I'm taking Matt Jones against the Jets for sure.
Who's Tyrod play?
Tyrod is playing. Got to look that up really quick. I'm not on to next week yet. I'm on to waivers, damn it, which I should probably look at considering we're doing waivers today.
Cleveland?
Yep.
Mac Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
All day.
No.
All
Mac
day,
Jones.
all day.
So what I'm gathering from this, and we're going to elaborate a little bit more on this now, is out of all the QBs outside of Jameis Winston, which Ron seems to like, I'm actually not a big fan of Jameis Winston. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more first. Yes, he had 5 touchdowns in that game, but he did that on a very limited passing role, and I don't see them doing that very often, and he's not going to throw 5 touchdowns doing that all the time. I would actually look other places, I think, as opposed to that, like a Mac Jones who's going against a very porous Jets secondary this season who didn't get pressure on Sam Darnold last week. So I think Mac Jones could look very good in that game and is a good waiver wire ad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'll take the upside of Jameis Winston. This offense looked very good. Yeah, he's probably not going to throw 5 TDs again.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to put my money on who is going to throw multiple touchdowns over Mac Jones and Jameis Winston, I would put it on Jameis Winston over Mac Jones.
All right. I think we have a question that just came in, so let's see what we got.
We have a watcher?
We do have a watcher. Nick Navarro. All right. He says, should I trade Dak and Woods for Herbert and Ridley? Also, Robbie Anderson and Trey Sermon for Justin Jefferson, full PPR.
Are you getting Justin Jefferson? If he's getting Justin Jefferson.
Yes, on Jefferson, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would, in a heartbeat, I would take that trade.
Yeah.
Should I trade Dak and Woods for Herbert and Ridley?
I say no.
Yeah, no, the way the Falcons offense is currently running right now, I don't think I would do that. Dak is looking very good in that offense. He's obviously healthy too, and so yes, he is going to be getting Justin Jefferson, he says. So, yeah, definitely take that second trade if you're actually offered that, especially in a full PPR league, though. As for that first one, Herbert, I think, has a lot of upside. I think he's going to have a very good year, but Dak is potentially looking at top 4 or 5 QB in the league currently, and I think Ridley is going to have a good year still, but is going to suffer under that Falcons offense a little bit. So that upside of him potentially being the number 1 wide receiver in the entire league might be gone.
And I know Woods had a little bit of a rough game this past week. That touchdown really saved his fantasy performance, but I think you're going to see a big improvement from him. I think JJ pointed out, JJ pointed out that Woods pretty much had like the sole good cornerback on him that game. So, and Dak, if Dallas is going to be doing 60 pass attempts a game, I mean, we probably won't see it that high every week, but if that's kind of like where they're at, I still stand by quarterback 1, going to finish the league first.
He very well could.
Hope that answers your question. Thanks for tuning in too. So on to our next player too. What is your guys' opinion on Gabe Davis and the Bills offense? He got some work this week. He is on the waiver wire for some leagues, probably about half the leagues going on right now. So what do you guys think about Gabe Davis?
It worries me. They very much want to involve Emmanuel Sanders in this offense. Cole Beasley has his role, and obviously Stephon Diggs is there. They do pass the ball a lot and run heavy wide receiver sets. It's just hard. Like, I don't know how much his usage is going to be on a week-to-week basis.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a situation where either Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders went down, Gabe Davis could jump into a very heavy workload.
It's an interesting concept, I think, too, because I actually heard the debate, who would you rather have, Emmanuel Sanders or Gabe Davis? So listening to that debate, I think I would honestly rather have Gabe Davis for the fact that Emmanuel Sanders, a lot of us forget, is almost 35 years old and might go down too. Gabe Davis is getting some work in this too. And if you can afford it, he's a good stash for later in the season, I think, too, if you've got are pretty deep at wide receiver. If I had a more solid wide receiving core, I would rather have Gabe Davis, who I think will be better later on in the season. At the current moment, I would want Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, like you said, if you have a really good receiving core and you're looking for like that true upside for your flex position, you know what I mean? Like you would just want that play that could really boom you over the top. Gabe Davis would be that play because, right, he's not going to be heavily involved, but he's also the guy on that team that could catch you the 50, 60-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And have that type of week. So it kind of is all how your team is built right now, like, and who you're starting that week.
Exactly. And Nick, we do appreciate the question too. So thanks for that comment on the sign too. And if you want to leave a voicemail thrashing us when we gave you bad advice after that trade, you can leave it at www.garbagetimeff.com where you can yell at us over a voicemail. And we will be more than happy to play it on the show.
Watch Herbert and Ridley just have like monster week 2 games.
Oh, I think Ridley's going to have a monstrous season. I'm sorry, Herbert's going to have a monstrous season. Ridley's still going to do good, but Robert Woods is a good, decent piece in that offense with the Rams, and Dak Prescott is potentially going to have a very fantastic year.
You still going Herbert MVP?
Yes, I still am going Herbert MVP. I think he can really sustain that offense. I think he's going to get going too. So on to our next player too. Boys, another prolific offense is the Cardinals offense, and Christian Kirk or Rondale Moore looked good in that offense. Do you like either one of these on waivers this week?
The matchups they have coming up are very good.
Yeah, for the next 2 weeks.
Yes. This is all DeAndre Hopkins' team.
Not AJ Green's.
Not AJ Green's, not Christian Kirk's. Not even Rondale Moore's. The best part of Rondale Moore is they're going to be manufacturing him touches. But are they going to be valuable touches? Most likely not. They're going to be low average depth of target. And unless he breaks one away for big gains, he's not going to be fantasy relevant. And if he is, you're never going to be able to guess the right week.
Well, yeah. That is very true too. So Christian Kirk had a very successful rookie season. As I'm stealing that comment from you, so don't you snap at me like that. Don't you put the hand up there. I saw that run, and
I was waving a fly away.
Yeah, you're such a damn liar. But anyway, yeah, I think Christian Kirk had a very good rookie season too, and then he was hampered by injuries the next 2 seasons after that. So he's a really hard player to read. So I wouldn't spend a lot of fab on him, and I don't believe I'm going to in our Megalo Bowl. And going forward, I might put a claim in on him, consider him, but there's other wide receivers I'm also pretty high on too, so he may be lower on that. He's someone that can also sit on your bench and see if he doesn't end up doing something this year. He's still pretty young, so he could still do something. And he's in a very high-powered offense you might want a piece of too.
Yeah,
so there's no reason why you couldn't stash him, I think. There's much worse options to have on your bench.
And he kind of had a weird stat line, 5 targets, caught all 5, and then that was for 2 touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
Which it's probably pretty rare that almost half of your catches end up being touchdowns. So
not necessarily though in the Cardinals offense, which doesn't really utilize the tight end. So that's an interesting concept too. Maybe he's their concept at tight end, except when DeAndre Hopkins catches it 50 yards on the field for a touchdown.
Right.
So that is something definitely to consider. Would you guys like to move on to the next player?
Do it.
All right. Nelson Aguilar. Where is he and what is he going to do in this Patriots offense? Is he worth a waiver wire claim?
I'm actually, I'm liking, after watching that game, I'm almost liking Nelson Aguilar more than Jacoby Myers. I think Aguilar was Matt Jones's first look on a lot of those plays, and he went to him a lot. So I'm thinking he may just be developing the rapport with Aguilar better than with Myers and some of the other wide receivers.
Would you be more comfortable picking him or Jonnu off the waiver wire?
Probably Aguilar. Yeah.
I feel like we got rope-a-doped a little bit. because we were all high on Jacoby Myers because in the preseason he was the guy, but we kept forgetting that he was the guy for Cam Newton. Like, we didn't really see a whole lot of Mac Jones out there, so we just kind of carried it over.
Right.
And I think that was a mistake on our part.
Only our part, though, right? Nobody else.
No. I mean, I'm talking ours, like a fantasy community in general, like because everybody was saying, take that flyer on Jacoby Myers at the end of the draft.
I still like Jacoby Myers. He was still a big part of that offense, though. But I think this is going to be an offense where a lot of people end up eating, and you could end up hurting for it. Jacoby Myers is more currently like a wide receiver 3, I think.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on any other Patriots players while we're on it, Ryan?
No, I'm interested on how the running back situation works out. We have 2 running backs there that both had fumbles this past week. Damian Harris kind of seemed to have majority of the workload, had a pretty decent fantasy day, but also had that fumble in the red zone at the end of the game that kind of cost the Patriots the game there. So it'll be interesting next week. If you're someone that has Damian Harris, can you really expect him to get the same level of work that he got last week?
Are you saying James White is worth an ad?
James White, I think is. I think he might be worth.
I think he's a good flex play anyways. I mean, he's still their third down running back.
And he's clearly still their pass catching running back as well.
So something else to note. So I didn't even have James White on my list. So guess what? You guys get a bonus waiver wire player. How awesome is that? Only this happens in Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Anyway, so I've got another player too. Zach Pascal. I think the inverse to Tim Patrick. There was another wide receiver there with the Colts that ended up getting hurt this season. And adverse happened in Denver too. So Pascal is an interesting option here too, and he did catch 2 touchdowns too. So I'm pretty interested in Zach Pascal too.
Same thing with Christian Kirk. He caught 2 touchdown passes, but it was on, very few catches. It wasn't like he had 11 catches and 2 TDs. He had something like 4 or 5 and 2 TDs. Those numbers aren't going to stay. Like, he still was involved. Yes, he caught the 2 touchdowns, but he could be one of those players. Same with Christian Kirk, where they come out this week and they get 3 catches for 30 yards and that's it.
Right. Well, and it's worth noting he goes up against the Rams defense next week.
You might not want to play him next week. Stash him for that week. That anyone who's going to go up against the Rams defense is going to hit a buzzsaw. It's going to be absolutely brutal. And JJ's tears were on the floor that night when he saw that. So don't worry about those Bears wide receivers yet. They will bounce back. They just were playing a very, very hard Rams defense who got in their head before the game even started. Yeah. Also, starting Andy Dalton, your quarterback, when you have Justin Fields on the bench doesn't help at all. So anyway,
Nagy as a head coach, that also.
The magician strikes again. Kenneth Gainwell in the Eagles offense. Oh, how the hell did we not call you out on this, Ron, too? Ron, I announced on the show yesterday, there's a certain quarterback of the Eagles. He looks like a pretty good passer, doesn't he? Jalen Hurts.
He was going up against the Falcons. Let's not be too crazy about it.
Oh, I will say 27 of 35 for 268 is not good?
I will say he looked good, but we have to, with the caveat that he was going against the Falcons.
That's adorable. I can unmic myself too. You're
Anyway.
Shit, Ron, now you're muted. So, yeah.
He had a very good day. I will give him that. But let's not go crazy when he was going against the Falcons defense, which looked just as bad as it did last year.
It's all right. You can't admit yet that you just put your foot in your mouth. And he's actually going to be a top 10 QB now.
Look, I had Zach. First off, you didn't even have him projected a top 10 QB after we did our updated stats.
I had him pretty close to the line, so chill out.
So didn't I.
Mm-hmm. I didn't put him in the top 10 because I was afraid Jameis Winston was going to get traded. Deshaun Watson was going to get traded.
It will be interesting. I think you'll get a real idea for Hurts this upcoming week, the 49ers going against them. I mean, they were very strong defense through the first 3 quarters. Gave up a lot in garbage time.
They lost their top corner, so that's hard.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm so happy that we established that Jalen Hurts is actually a real passer in this league, and that Ron was wrong once again tonight.
Daniel Jones said those types of stat lines before too.
Yeah, he's also fumbled every other game too, so we won't even talk about that anyway. I'll talk about the player that we are actually going to get into, which is Kenneth Gainwell, who established himself as the passing work option in that Eagles offense, which actually might produce now. What are your guys' thoughts on Kenneth Gainwell? Is he worth the stash on benches or potentially a flex play going forward?
It's going to be so hard to know when to start him or not. I feel like you don't know.
I think he's a really interesting play there, too, because Boston Scott didn't get any work right there. I think he was the clear number 2 there.
He's definitely the clear number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Eagles running game actually looked very good. I was very impressed with the Eagles running game. With Jalen Hurts actually being a mobile quarterback, you could see it opened up a lot of holes. And Miles Sanders was just very good. Kenneth Gainwell ended up getting the touchdown. But this is another one of those scenarios, kind of like in Baltimore. Who's going to get the touchdown that week? Gainwell, Sanders, or Hurts? So it's one of those things that's really hard to predict which one. Any given week, any one of them could have great rushing games. It's hard.
Absolutely. And I believe Hurts had 60 yards, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he had something like 60 yards.
Oh, that's funny, Ron. You take 60 times 17, too. Oh, look, that's 1,000 yards. Look, it's completely possible. So you were calling my bullshit that 3 running backs can't get 1,000 yards? Well, one of them looks like he's in line with it with the Cardinals. Jalen Hurts looks like that. And we know what our boy in Baltimore is going to do. So just saying it might possible.
I low-key now hope that Hurts just comes out and has a freaking terrible game. Just for Ron's rebuttal.
Was it one of your guys, Kyler Murray?
Oh, absolutely.
Who had 4 rushing yards this week?
Chill out. He'll rush other weeks. He was scrambling and throwing it around the field.
Now you can't base off of 1 week, Ron.
Right. There's always a narrative to support Joe's things.
Oh, there is no narrative to it. He's absolutely going to ball out this year and be the number 1 QB in all fantasy football, minus an injury. He's small, so there's something still to worry about.
The number 1 behind that. He's the first one behind that.
Oh, God, we'll see, man.
I like how you had to throw that.
Calm your tits down over there.
Me and Joe are having our own little argument here, and then you're just like number 1 behind Dak, man.
You could be behind Dak because Dak's on my team.
Just me and the peanut gallery over here.
He's on pace to throw for 6,800 yards, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Probably 7,000.
According to Joe's theory with Jalen Hurts, I just take the first game times by 17.
That's right.
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely, it's his average for now, right? So I got to go with the average.
Good math, Ron.
It's not looking good for Daniel Jones.
Or Saquon.
What's that stat line look like? It's bad, real bad. Is what
you move on. You move on. I'll figure out the stat line for Daniel Jones under those situations.
All right, we'll move on to some tight end love. All right, so how do you guys feel about Gerald Everett with the Seahawks?
I kind of was. I really think he could have a very good year. They obviously brought him in for a reason, and he seems like he's, on Russell Wilson's radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely an interesting target. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. Honestly, that concussion going on with their third wide receiver there too, it really could help that. Everett's more of that weekly play where you're going to have to evaluate, I think, what's going on. The defenses that they're playing. I don't know if he'll be an every week play, but he's definitely pretty interesting there.
Well, yeah, it's tough because he's another one, 2 targets for 2 receptions and a touchdown. I mean, so if you take away that touchdown, that's 2 points. So I feel like he's either going to be, you start him and you're like, damn it, killed me, or he could put up legit numbers.
Yeah, and the last tight end that I wanted to get to, and honestly the last waiver wire player I think that's worth anything, unless we're all hiding some players that we want to pick up on the waiver wire, is Jared Cook. So with the Chargers, that offense, I think, could establish that it can sustain a lot of weapons, and there's no reason why the tight end position cannot be one of those spots because oddly enough, and it's worth a look too, they didn't throw to the to the running back. And this is a new offense. We don't know what's going to be established or even if the tight end is going to be long-term established, but it's maybe worth a waiver wire claim and to see what's going to happen on there, especially if you had a certain Green Bay tight end and might need a different tight end. So maybe look, what'd you say?
He had 8 targets, which I like that. That's, that's a solid number of what's going his way. So right. I actually liked him more than the guy we just talked about,
Gerald Everett.
Yep, I like Jared Cook more if they're both on the waiver wire.
Ron, did you have any defenses you want to get to? Do you want to hit that button or do you want to save that for Thursday?
I'll save that for Thursday. I haven't looked at all the matchups yet. I want to make sure I get a good one. Mine was looking really good for a while this past week. Mm-hmm. And then the 49ers lost their corner and it went real sideways real quick for me. But it was looking real good for a bit there. I got those numbers for Daniel Jones.
Let's do it, and then we can get out of here.
It actually isn't that horrible. He actually had a better day than I thought.
He didn't smile.
He didn't throw an interception, which is really good. So that puts him at 0 interceptions for the year. Mm-hmm. He did have a fumble, so that's 17 fumbles for the year. However, so at the end of the year, taking off his numbers from this week 1, he would have 4,539 yards, 17 touchdowns, and then 459 rushing yards with another 17 rushing touchdowns.
How many receptions?
Probably 0.
Interceptions.
None, because he didn't throw one this week.
Ron, so are we saying Daniel Jones is going to have more rushing yards than Kyler Murray?
No, that's just to show
projection.
Based on Joe's stat line for projections.
Based on Joe math.
Chill out.
1 and just
I'm going off a history of him being able to rush. All right, so if we're going to do real math too, I'm adding Daniel Jones's Crisco hands to this equation. Which
it's 17 fumbles.
So he's going to have 26 fumbles by the end of the year.
Okay, so that's probably more accurate.
I kind of feel like it is. But guess what? If that ends up happening, he'll be benched before he gets to that point. So
we don't really have anyone to bench him for.
Oh, don't you love that in our chat, it was Mike Lennon's going to be the starting quarterback of the Giants, and it might come up into your future at some point?
I don't know. We'll see.
Ron, where can you find this show if people actually want to watch it?
I don't know. I'm tilting.
I don't care if you're tilting. Get back on track and tell us where you can find Garbage Time Fantasy Football.
Did you already turn off the ticker?
I did.
Wow. I normally use that to read. So make sure you go and check us out at www.garbagetimeff.com. It shows every place we are available. We are on YouTube at garbagetimefantasyfootball.com. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, so you decide when we want to go crazy and go actual live like we did today. Make sure you go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a like, leave a review, follow us, give us, the review that we deserve is 5-star, but if you have some crazy thing where you want to make it only a 4, I guess we'll take that too.
Like if we fuck up your trade. Like like we might tonight, giving that advice out, then you can leave the 2-star review, I guess.
Poor Nick. Anyways, also on Spotify, Google Podcasts, pretty much everywhere you can find a podcast, we are there. And go hit that like button, the follow button, whatever button they have to give us some love. We love the love.
Yeah, we do love the love. And you can also leave comments under the YouTube videos too.
Yep.
We will be on top of that answering questions too if you would like to leave us one too. Any format you leave it in, we will get back to it. Don't even worry about that. Ryan, do you want to talk about your show, considering you guys might actually record an episode? Maybe you can pop Casey's damn head onto the screen too if you'd like to talk about it.
Yes, I got Casey right here with me. We are going to do a UFC DFS and predictions episode for the fights upcoming this Saturday.
So they claim.
Should be a good card. And you'll see us on Instagram and Spotify.
Get it. That's Garbage Time Presents the MMA podcast.
Damn right.
Make sure you go leave us a voicemail at our website, Garbage Time, www.garbagetimeff.com. dyslexia hit there. I don't know if anyone else heard it.
It's just your old age. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just my old age. It's fine. It's all good. Anything else? Did I miss something? I normally do.
No, we're out of here.
No, let's get out of here, dude.
You don't get to make that
He sure does,
Ryan.
Right. No. We're going to do this.
I'm the winner.
Ryan, what would you like to say?
I would like to say it's been nice having all of you. I'm better than Ron at fantasy football, clearly evidenced by the week 1 matchup. And if you project that across the season, I'm going to be undefeated. Ron's going to be winless. And the show is going to be how Warner sees it. All right. Bye, everybody.